Hello guys, I welcome you all in this tutorial. So look at this title. So I'm going to discuss about Android data binding in this tutorial, and I will let you learn how you can use the Android data binding concept when you are developing your Android app with Kotlin language. So no further discussion, just get into the Android Studio screen. So I have already created a project. If you have not yet created a project, just go there and file from new project. Select empty activity from here, then click next. Name your application and just click on finish. Then you will just get this screen like me. So what you have to do here for the first time when you create a project is that you need to go to your app level build.gradle file to enable data binding because it's not enabled by default. So I go there on the app level build.gradle file. Make sure you have selected here this app level that means this Android, and you from the Gradle scripts you see here there are two build.gradle files. This one is project level. If you can see here, this is project data binding and module app. So you have to module colon app. You have to select this file and you will get this file here. Now what you have to do, you need to within this Android scope, you need to write something like this. You write data binding, then you give a second bracket, curly braces, then you say enabled equal to true. This will turn on your data binding to use in this project. So this is not yet done. The next thing you have to do is what you have made the changes, you need to sync these changes with the other files so that your projects run well. If you do not save this project, if you do not find this in here, just go there and click on this thing, sync with file system. So it will give you the synchronization you're looking for. Okay, I have done a mistake, so making mistake is good when you're actually learning something new. So if this should be a capital B in this data binding, okay, so make sure when you are doing this, the same thing, write data binding, data, and then it's a kind of a camel case. So if you look at other properties here, everything is in camel case. So first is lower, then the second word, first letter will be capital. So sync again. This time it should work fine. It will take some time to just synchronize everything. So the configuration successful. So now you need to go to your layout file and go to the code. Now you can see there you have a constraint layout at the top level. If you look at the constraint layout is your top level tag. So what we need to do to use data binding, we need to add a tag layout at our top level in our layout file. So we just created layout tag and we need to cut all rest of the things here from here. Just cut and just copy and paste here. cut and paste. Sorry, you do not need to copy, it will take more 2 times. Okay, so we are done. So now layout tag is our top level tag. So what we next need to do is that we need to cut these 2 lines and take it to the layout tag, because these 2 lines actually indicates the namespace for this layout file, and the namespace for every layout file should be in its top level tag. So we just cut them and we pass them in the layout tag here. So we don't see any error here. Okay, so we are done for now. So now what we have to do, we need to go to the main activity.kt class or file. Then we need to declare a data binding object to work with it. So how can we create a data binding object? So data binding object will be created something like this way. You need an access as specifier. It's not necessarily that you have to put private all the time, it's not necessary, but it's actually a very essential thing when you are working with the multiple classes, because the layout for each activity should be its private property. Otherwise there's a possibility that you can mess up everything. So you need access specifier like private, protected, or public, whatever it is. Then let instantiate, then var, and the variable name binding, then colon. Then you will have an auto-generated binding class for your main activity. If you just write that activity, so here you see that activity main binding. So this is the class you need here. So we press enter, selecting this class. Now we have our data binding object. So this class will be auto generated when you just enable data binding in your project and synchronize this enable mode. So now you can access all of your views through this binding object. So for now we don't have any views in our layout. Like we have this text view, but it has no ID. Well, this one thing I need to mention here, that you need an ID for each view to get it with your data binding object. So if you put an ID that like we could say text view, so this time we will able to. Well, I forgot to tell you one thing, that you need to make one more changes here. That is, you need to change this line, set content view r.activity.main activity. So this time we will work with binding object. So binding equal to, you need a class that is data binding utility class, data binding util dot set content view. So the first parameter, it's actually demanding, you can see is the activity, so we can just pass this. And the second parameter is actually demanding, you can see the prompted message in the just above the cursor, that it's now requiring that binding component, data binding component. So we need to pass the view so layout ID, so r dot layout dot activity main. So actually what it does, that it actually sets the content view, and it also gets our all the views in this binding object. Now, one thing I should mention here, that what is the advantage of using this data binding object. So when you use findViewByID all the time to search, it needs to search the view in your view hierarchy. So it takes a long time to just kick up your user interface. But when you're using a data binding, so it has a reference to each views in this object. So it doesn't need to search for look for the views in the whole view hierarchy. So it takes a shorter time than view by ID does. So it reduces your app's user interface loading times. So it's the best practice that you use your data binding when you're building a complex application that uses a nested user interface nested views within one. Like you have a linear layout. Within this, you have an image view or card view. So within this card view, you again have a text view. So it's a lot of in-depth view hierarchy. So in that case, you need to use data binding. Okay, no more further discussion. Just go to the coding. Now if you just type binding, then you press the dot operator, then you can see the text view has prompted. Text view. So now if you want to just like Java, you can now, if you again press the dot operator, you can find the methods here. So you can just go there and something like hello Kotlin. So now if we just build our project, let's see what happens. Well, I got some problem with my emulator. So if we now run this project, now we should see the output here. So if you look, there is hello Kotlin. I don't know whether you can see it. Maybe the text is too small. So I just change the text size to 20 dp. No, sorry, 20 sp. One more thing to learn here, that when you declare the text side, it should be sp, not dp. Okay, just recompile it and see the change. Okay, so hello Kotlin. So as we have set the text to Kotlin. So that's how we can actually access the views with data mining. Now one thing, in the next video I will tell you how you can show the data using the data binding directly in this layout file. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you up in the next video.